let's talk a little bit about Kevin Lee. Now, if you are a Kevin Lee fan, you might want to click off the video because I'm about to trash this man's career. No, his career is kind of on a bit of a downward spiral after being a pretty big name and having sort of this semi-superstar aura about him back in the 2017 era. But I'm just going to go through his UFC career just to show you that he never really evolved as a fighter. Kevin Lee stands 5'9", weight class 170. That's just where he ended his UFC career. He is a lightweight. A really crazy reach of 77 inches, which this is the biggest thing that irks me, okay? He has an incredible ape index for a lightweight and just doesn't know how to punch or strike, really. He has great kicks, we'll get into it, but this right here just blows my mind. Stance orthodox, born in 92. His career statistics show you that he is a wrestler. You know, Kevin Lee, big powerful guy, always comes in shape, always a nightmare to deal with in the first and second round. Kind of similar to Conor McGregor, but like in wrestler form. Like he's got like a good 10 minutes. So we're going to dive into the career here. And he debuted UFC 169 against Iaquinta, Raging Al. Gotta love him. He made his debut at, I believe, 21? Super young. Kevin Lee came into the UFC super young. And so we take a look here, outstruck by Iaquinta in his debut. And it's clear from the get-go, he is here to wrestle. Lands only one of his 8 takedowns and banks 4 minutes of control time. Story of the fight here, outstruck by Iaquinta in the first round. Al's the one with the control time here. Kevin Lee not getting what he wants on the feet. Round 2, does land his takedown. Rides out nearly the whole round. Only gets 5 more strikes. Only gets 5 more strikes with this much control time. Bit of a red flag, but no big deal. Green fighter. And then round 3, doesn't get the takedown. 0 for 5. 0 control time. Gets outstruck by Iaquinta on the feet. Still like a low volume fight, like defending yourself against a grappler. Al did his thing here. And if we have a look at the strike totals, I mean, Al just peppering the head. Kevin Lee just very low volume. Theme you'll see with his career moving on, very low accuracy. I know this is his debut, but we're going to move up his career here, and kind of the strike accuracy doesn't really improve. Next up, he fights Jesse Ronson, Canadian, the body snatcher. Real nasty dude. They go tit for tat in this first round. Kevin gets his takedowns, 2 minutes of control time. Round 2 comes around, same thing, getting his takedowns, getting what he wants. Still outstruck by Jesse Ronson somehow, even though he gets 2 takedowns and 2 minutes of control time. And then in the third round, doesn't get his takedowns. A much closer round. He wins the fight by unanimous decision. Split decision. Fights John Tuck. Now, point deducted low blow by John Tuck. Junichiro Kamijo. Basically, Kevin Lee nutshotted John Tuck. John Tuck nutshotted Kevin Lee back, and they took a point from Tuck, leading to some 30-26 scorecards. Interesting stuff. But Kevin won the fight anyway. Gets his takedowns every round. Gets good work done. I mean, this is really good control time from him. And yeah, John Tuck kind of fell off a cliff after that. And this is kind of the only fight where you'll see Kevin Lee really, with this much of a margin over his opponent with strikes. It's usually the other way around. Kevin Lee getting all the control time, but coming up short on the strikes. Next, Michael Prazeres. This guy was a tank. The tractor nickname's really fitting. He's like 5'4" at 155 pounds. He was an absolute fridge of a guy. And Kevin Lee had a really impressive win. I remember watching this, and I believe Prazeres was... Yeah, he was doing his thing. After the Kevin Lee loss, went on his big win streak. I remember back in, 2016, 2017, kind of when I started watching, this guy was like a nightmare. Then Shavkat comes in just during kind of the COVID era, after the COVID era, sends Prazeres packing, destroys him. Anyway, back to this fight. Basically, Kevin Lee doesn't have a good first round here. Tit for tat on the feet. Kind of a physicality battle. And then it gets a little nastier into the second round. They both land takedowns, but Kevin Lee coming out on with more control time. And then in the final round, big gas out from Prazeres. Kevin Lee runs away with the fight. Lots of a good mix-up here from Kevin. Good distance strikes, good clinch strikes, ground strikes. Just kind of a neutralized Prazeres. It's actually a good win of his. I'm not going to crap on him too much for this. This was kind of shutting down a real Hulk in the division. So I give him props for that. And then doesn't get a step up next. Gets James Moontasri, who I think had like Moonwalker. I think he had one or two fights in the whole UFC. Kevin Lee bullies him in the first round, gets his takedown in round 1, and just submits him. Over and done with. And Kevin Lee's a blue belt, but he's very good. He was always very good at just like body triangling, getting to the back, and just rear naked choking. I don't think he has any other submissions other than rear naked choke. Very wrestler, very basic jiu-jitsu from Kevin Lee. But it works. Rear naked choke's great for wrestlers. Kevin Lee would just basically try to bulldoze you in that first round with the takedown, overpower you, and just get to the back, pepper you until you leave an opening, and he'll take the rear naked choke. Then we run into his first loss, where on the Aldo McGregor card, he was probably looking to come in and make a statement. Yeah, it doesn't go well. He gets taken down, gets ridden out for 30 seconds, and then knocked out by Leonardo Santos. Not a good look. This was kind of the bump in the road for Kevin. And then so to get him his bounce back, the UFC gives him Efrain Escudero, who we can see is a fellow wrestler. And Kevin Lee had a field day on the feet with this guy, and I wonder why. He's a pure ground fighter. Out of 49 pro fights, he has 2 wins by knockout. So not a force to be reckoned with at all on the feet here. And he's actually outstruck. He actually was outstruck by Efrain. Doesn't get his takedowns. Escudero is a wrestler himself. They go back and forth in kind of every round until Kevin Lee gets one takedown, rides out the rest of the fight. There's his win from Efrain. A really just non-threatening guy on the feet. Perfect fight for Kevin. He doesn't like good strikers at all that can expose his punches, his boxing. So yeah, good win there. Good rebound after getting knocked out on the Aldo McGregor card. And then we see his run. Kevin Lee's nice little run here. This performance stands out. It was a very young Jake Matthews, but a guy who's still around in the UFC and growing into it nicely. He gives prospects a real run for their money. If you're sort of like mid-level, Jake Matthews will just cook you with boxing. And Kevin Lee just absolutely trucked through him. Shot a couple takedowns, got control time, and got a rare Kevin Lee TKO. Just got on top of Jake Matthews. He couldn't recover. Kevin Lee pounds him out. Magomed Mustafaev, he is known for spinning wheel kicking Rafael Fiziev, who's a top contender in the UFC. Fluke. Kevin Lee pinned him down with takedowns, kind of neutralized this, the sniper, Mustafaev, looking to KO him. And yeah, Kevin Lee, plenty of control time in both rounds. Look at that. Getting his takedowns on Mustafaev. And just real physicality problem there. And then lands a nasty submission. This is the turning point where Kevin Lee sort of gained a big head, thinking, man, I can beat all these Dagestanis, these Ayevs, these Ovs. I just took one down and like bullied him, beat him at his own game with a submission. Not really. He's primarily a sniper fighter. His nickname is the Sniper. He is not of the Nurmagomedov ilk. You beat one of the striking Russians, not one of the infinite cardio glitch Russians. Anyway, it's still a good win. Great win. 7 takedowns. I wasn't aware of that. That's impressive. Trinaldo, same thing as the Prazeres fight. Short little hulk of a dude. Kevin Lee can stay safe at range, not even have to deal with the striking. Can play his kick game. And yeah, this was a big upset actually in the Belfort Gastelum card. That was in Brazil. This was kind of Trinaldo's backyard, I guess, and this added to the Kevin Lee winning streak. 1 of 7 takedowns in the first round, and then nothing after that, I believe. Interesting, there's no takedowns, but he won by submission. I remember them being... I know Kevin Lee had his back in kind of a weird position. Maybe there's an unscored reversal here that led to it. But yeah, great win against another sort of fridge. And then this was kind of the turning point right here with the Michael Chiesa throwdown, we'll call it. Basically, there's a great big pay-per-view, UFC summer kickoff, and basically all you need to know is Kevin Lee made a comment about Chiesa's mother. Chiesa gets up, plays the hero. You're not going to talk about my mom. And then actually bolts across the cage, and Kevin Lee, stands his base and throws down, essentially. Lands a crisp right hand, his power hand, right on the face of Michael Chiesa. What did you expect? And so these two had kind of an interesting fight. Chiesa got nothing done, 4 strikes. Kind of two like wrestler grapplers going at it, and basically Kevin Lee got his takedown instantly and just kind of maneuvered the back of Chiesa. Full gas tank Kevin Lee, hard to deal with, and Michael Chiesa gets put in another rear naked choke, except he doesn't tap. He's in a fully cinched up like body triangle rear naked choke, but he doesn't tap. You know him, you love him, Mario Yamasaki, not really around anymore for multiple fuck-ups, but he stops the fight without an actual tap coming from Chiesa, so Chiesa's allowed to wipe away the loss, saying, oh, I didn't really lose because I didn't technically tap. And while that's true, give it 2 more seconds and you're put to sleep or tapping by Kevin Lee. Legit win, good win. This kind of propelled him, this kind of gave Kevin Lee bragging rights because there was kind of a fiery build-up, and yeah, Chiesa dropped the ball on that one and got dusted. And this got, believe it or not, this win streak was enough to get Kevin Lee a interim title shot when I believe he was ranked number 10 against Tony Ferguson, who was 2 or 3. It was interesting that Tony Ferguson even took the fight, but it's an interesting, goofy fight where Tony Ferguson basically just gassed out Kevin Lee, or Kevin Lee gassed out himself, and Tony Ferguson applied a triangle choke from bottom, got him out of there. I highly suggest it. It's one of Tony Ferguson's better performances of just kind of schooling a wrestler. But let's look at the strike data. Kevin Lee has a good first round, surprisingly, and has decent accuracy. Tony Ferguson just goofing off in the first round, gets taken down, controlled. Round 2 comes around, bit of a different story. Ferguson applies better pressure. Some good output, 54 strikes, good output. Starts to sap away at Kevin Lee with some body strikes in there. And then, in the third round, Kevin Lee, again, goes for his big power takedown, but he's a little bit more gassed out now. We're past kind of the 10-minute mark, and he's laying in Tony Ferguson's guard, which you just shouldn't do, and gets locked up in a triangle choke. And this painted the picture of Kevin Lee's clear lack of evolution. It's just... You just had a successful first round on the feet. Low cardio demands. You can just replicate this, man. Strikes add up. You can just replicate this. You don't need to force your big takedowns, your big power takedowns every single round. You can just do your striking, but he's not a striker, so he's not comfortable having a stand-up fight, even when you just doubled up Tony Ferguson in the first round with strikes. But no, made mistakes on the ground, lost the fight, lost his first title fight. But had an awesome rebound against Edson Barboza, which we got to see him do the chicken dance. Edson Barboza hurt him a couple of times. Knockdowns. No knockdowns, apparently. I remember Kevin Lee, he did the chicken dance, but I guess he flung himself into a takedown, so it wasn't counted. But Barboza put some real damage on Kevin Lee, but he actually weathered through it. And Barboza can't stuff a takedown to save his life, really. He's always had trouble with it. So just look at this control time from Kevin Lee. 4 minutes, 20 seconds, 4 minutes, 12, 111. Probably getting his breath back in the third round here. And just nothing going on from Edson early in the fight. And has to try and come back in the later rounds. But when Kevin Lee is a bit more gassed. Not sure what round. I would have to say it's this round where he was hit with a spinning wheel kick, which put him on wobbly legs. But yeah, just bad performance from Edson Barboza. Not really finding the shot on Kevin Lee. The pressure was a lot for him to deal with. He's always had a horrible problem with the pressure coming from wrestlers. And so yeah, this ended up being the strike data for his bounce back against Barboza, who's an insane striker, one of the best strikers in the UFC, but all it takes is, a wrestler with a good game plan and good pressure, and your striking just falls apart if you don't have a good sprawl, if you gas out, if you back up in a straight line. And so, yeah, Kevin Lee, 50-45, I believe. I mean, probably the best performance of Kevin Lee's career, honestly. Just shutting out Barboza, much like Khabib did, even though it took him much later in the fight to get it done. To rebound off his debut loss, he gets matched up with ally Iaquinta, their rematch. And this went all 5 rounds, which is good. Ally Iaquinta, scrappy sort of volume striker, Serra Longo guy, great wrestling defense, all this kind of stuff, good fight IQ. Just not Ally Iaquinta was never like the most physical guy, like average build, a lot of things were average about Ally Iaquinta for sure, but comes from a great camp, so like championship level camp, so they took him very far. Strike numbers were close, but Al with a lot more accuracy, and you can see he failed 7 takedowns, but that's probably just to check the cardio in the gas tank of Kevin Lee, shoot back into him, and keep it in his mind that you will shoot as well, punish him for sloppy entries. And only 3 takedowns in a 5-round fight is absolutely not what Kevin Lee wants. He prefers to destroy you in round 1 or 2 with his physicality, and a measly minute 44 of control time is all he got. And then from there on out, the volume just kind of became a problem. Ally Iaquinta pulling away as Kevin Lee gasses. We have from Kevin Lee 86 attempted strikes round 1, 69 attempted strikes round 2. Takes his 3rd round off, and then has to try and claw his way back into the fight, but horrible accuracy, not landing anything, he's gassed out. Whereas Ally Iaquinta just way more consistent, banking rounds 4 and 5 for sure. These first 3 are kind of close though. It's cutting it real close. I mean, Al was technically outstruck these first 3 rounds, but yeah. Didn't end up getting the nod there. He gets a performance bonus for this, for a decision. That's interesting. Then he makes his move to welterweight to take on RDA, who is a fellow lightweight who moved up. This fight was 170, right? Main event. Or am I going crazy? Yes, it was, welterweight. And RDA's kind of danger level has sort of gone away in the later stage of his career, but he did finish Kevin Lee with a submission late in the fight. Tons of control time from both. 16 attempted takedowns from Kevin Lee, just a grapple fest, wrestle fuck fest. RDA shooting back into him with more accuracy. There's his sub attempt that he lands and gets. His only sub attempt he lands and gets. And a reversal in there. Kevin Lee hates reversals. All wrestlers do. With sus cardio. Strike numbers. So yeah, rounds 1 and 2, Kevin Lee with basically 3 minutes of control time. Good stuff. Banks round 1 and 2 like he always does. Round 3, 2 strikes. He lands 2 strikes in round 3 and 9 in round 4. So up at welterweight, the cardio problem's even more of an issue. Not looking good. Not looking good at all. Being just completely shut down by RDA come the later rounds. Not good. Not good at all. But he redeems his career. He redeems his career with one of the best looking head kick knockouts you will ever see. On a nice popular pay-per-view as well. I don't know if he was main card for this. Was he main card for this? He was. He opened the main card. So yeah, big spot for Kevin Lee, because I believe Gregor Gillespie was undefeated at the time. He kind of had this undefeated wrestler streak going on. Kevin Lee just demolished that, kind of showed that he was still the guy. Yeah, I believe it was a right hand into a switch kick. Right hand, and then Gillespie peels back. Kevin Lee, switch kick, boom, Gillespie's dead. And first round as well. The fight barely gets going. It was kind of starting to look like it was a scrap. I remember a couple of good exchanges, and then this just came out of nowhere, this head kick. So, yeah, star-making performance from Kevin Lee. Sort of, like, it's these types of wins, these flashy finishes, like just an out-cold head kick in round 1 that will just wipe away all of these sus losses. all these performances where he is just showing to just fall apart after 10 minutes, all this gets wiped away in the public eye when you pull off a big finish like this. Had his big star-making performance and then gets given Charles Oliveira in his next fight and obviously loses it. Charles Oliveira fighting very soon against Ilia Topuria. Super excited for that. This is actually a good fight. It's Kevin Lee just basically body slamming Charles Oliveira early in the fight. But Dubronx stays safe with the BJJ. Threatens 2 submissions. The first one he threatened, I forget what it was, but I remember Lee scrapped out of it. But yeah, as the fight goes on, they all know Kevin Lee's going to slow down, and then that's when they can look to finish him. That's when the accuracy falls off a cliff, and that's exactly what Oliveira did. Rode out an early storm, and then guillotine choke. One thing I like that Oliveira did in this fight was just stab away at the body of Kevin Lee the whole fight long with front kicks and shit like that. Just make him gas out even harder. Just understand the weakness of your opponent. Just go for it. And yeah, once again, Kevin Lee, great start. And then just falls off a cliff. Charles Oliveira spearing him in the body, not backing down from a wrestler, knowing that Kevin Lee, even coming off of this crazy head kick, he's not a dangerous guy on the feet. He never has been. No punch KOs in the UFC, really, other than laying on Jake Matthews. So Oliveira can jump in the fire, scrap it out with Kevin Lee, gas him out, make it dangerous. So back to welterweight he goes. He fights Daniel Rodriguez, who is on about a 7-fight win streak at the time. Like, do not take these fights. But he can't help himself, Kevin Lee. He has to jump in there with prospects to show, like, I am a championship fighter. No, rebuild yourself. That's how MMA works. You got to rebuild yourself. But hops in there with Daniel Rodriguez, who he called a bum, I believe, in the pre-fight and the post-fight. He's like, this guy's a bum. I lost to a bum. No, D-Rod whooped your ass. Nearly tripled you on strikes. This is one of my favorite fights. One of my favorite Apex fights. So let's break it down. Tentative first round from D-Rod. This is Kevin Lee's usual number. Rodriguez just kind of chipping away with Muay Thai with like nice inside low kicks, poppy jabs, making sure that he doesn't stay stuck in the mud, because that's exactly what Kevin Lee wants, is to capitalize and get a takedown. So D-Rod, this is pretty low volume for D-Rod. He's one of the better volume strikers in the UFC. Probably a little nervous, just watching out for the wrestling game of Kevin, because that's all he's really got. And Lee gets his takedown at the end of the round, gets some control time. It's just little rabbit punches on top, nothing serious. Round 2 comes around. Kevin Lee, eager to test out the stand-up, gets volumed up by D-Rod, and has little success with the takedown. Fails a takedown. The one he gets reversed quickly by D-Rod, and this is just the beginning of the end. He's convinced he wins this round as he celebrates when the decision's read. Not a chance. He got volumed up. And round 3, just beat down from D-Rod. Gets taken down, gets up, and just is putting punishment on Kevin Lee every single minute. And yeah, just all at range. Like, it's all just typical kickboxing stuff coming from D-Rod. Like, it's all simple stuff, but one of the best volume strikers in the UFC. A decent reach to match the reach of Kevin, and a southpaw striker. Just even more problems for Kevin Lee's underdeveloped striking. And yeah, it was a great fight. This was deserving, because this was D-Rod on, I think, a week's notice, and just to see him put a beat down on a loudmouth like Kevin was good stuff. Good stuff. One of my favorite Apex fights. Significant strikes. Let's see the work D-Rod got done. No body shots, which is strange. You should usually go to the body on a wrestler a little bit, or just somebody with a low gas tank. But no, just lots of pot shotting and making sure he chops low. And Kevin Lee, trying to mix it up, but nothing doing for him. Gassing himself out with the takedown attempts. Honestly, it's a nice slow-paced stand-up fight against a volume striker, and you have gassed yourself out with your own takedowns. So, yeah, not impressed at all. takes a big long layoff of 2 years, comes back against Fakhretdinov, who I think was like 20-0, 20-1, something like that at the time. Just hopping in with a crazy wrestling prospect. I don't understand. I mean, I can say it's like ego, like typical like fighter delusion ego. But we need to learn from our mistakes, Kevin. Jumps in there with a Russian prospect with a crazy record. The fight goes for 55 seconds. And he is just instantly dropped and strangled on the ground. And so he was cut after this. The fight's quick and sweet. Renat's not even really like a dangerous striker. I mean, yeah, Renat's kind of like your grappler hybrid type guy. But no, just floors Kevin Lee in 30 seconds and then chokes him out. And so that's a wrap for Kevin Lee's UFC career. From there, he dabbles in Khabib Nurmagomedov's Fight League, Eagle FC, where he takes on just another nightmare. Like, he can't stop himself from diving in there with these killers. He fights a mid-40s Diego Sanchez. He finally understands that, like, okay, I need a layup or the career's over. So he actually fought Diego Sanchez before IC. This was his ticket back to the UFC. Let me take on this prime savage, Diego Sanchez. And so Kevin tries it out, goes back to his old ways. Round 1 sub on regionals. Gets that bounce back. Gets his ticket into the PFL lightweight tournament semifinal, the $1 million show, the PFL, against just a fucking nightmare, Gadzi Rabadanov. Like, dude, why aren't you taking like Brian Barberena when he was at welterweight? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, taking these types of opponents? I don't understand. Like, I do not know with Kevin Lee. All I can say is that there's been a lack of evolution in his game. Collegiate wrestler, he's always showing up in shape, but just too much of a wrestler. Awful strike accuracy. That was always his problem, was the boxing. He has great kicks. He's always had great kicks. Big, strong legs, big, strong hips from wrestling, but you need to have stand-up. Why do you think all the championship-level coaches like John Wood, Extreme Couture, Saif Saud, they're all preaching boxing. They all say hands first, no, give me hands first, no kicks, hands first. Even for their wrestlers, like Jacoby Smith, all these people, they're saying hands first. We know how good your wrestling is, but you got to do work with your hands. And Lee never really did that. He kind of relied on being a bulwark, being just a really strong young guy, a bully type fighter. It was hard to beat him in a physical matchup. You had to come in correct. And you just needed better cardio than him. He had, like I said, a good 10 minutes of gas before he starts making some critical errors. So, yeah, there's a breakdown for you on Motown Phenom Kevin Lee. I just felt like I had to make this video because I've watched the majority of his career, and it's come to an end. His ego's out of control. It's out of control. He just can't allow himself to take a step back. Like, he just doesn't do it. He's done it maybe once or twice in his entire career. Like, try to rebuild, work on your skills. But now the time's up. You've jumped in with the Sharks over and over again and just taken plenty of damage, lots of losses, thinking you're at the elite level when you've shown not to be. And so he lost to Khabib's teammate, this killer, and he's trying to cover it up with like, I'm not a coward. I can't take the shots anymore. No, you can take the shots. This is just cover up for my striking's not there. And Lee's had some phenomenal coaches. Lee's been coached by TriStar, like Faraz Sahabi. I know Dewey Cooper's kind of a cardio kickboxing guy, like kind of motivational coaching. Like, you got this, champ. Give it, champ. But like Faraz Sahabi, like for years as well. Plenty of work at Extreme. I guess just no one could punch through to this guy. I guess that's what it was. Oh well. There's a breakdown for Kevin Lee. Just wanted to kind of spew this out to you. Thank you for watching, if you're still watching. Until next time.